Darron admitting that maybe they shouldn't have called the cops. I think he should have just taken the pizza and just thrown it in his face like WWE. What's up, everyone? My name is Derek Heavy D Hendrickson, and you are here for the first episode. It's always the better the first time. It's a little rough and tough, as we all know, for the first time. We're here for Between the Buns, the latest and greatest competitive eating podcast to come from myself, as well as Darron Eats, former number 3 in the world. Was that your highest rank, 3?
Yeah, that would be my highest ranking for sure.
3, what was it, 2 or 3 years, number 2 in Coney Island finals?
Yeah, 2 times.
2 times. So you want to talk about yourself a little bit? Tell the crowd what you're all about?
Yeah, so I guess you guys might know me by my YouTube channel, Darron Eats, maybe. But yeah, I'm a washed up old man, retired competitive eater at this point. I competed from, I started doing food challenges in 2015, and last time I competed was in 2022, and yeah, that's about it.
I hear the retired word. That's the first time I've heard the retired word. So we're starting to go down that road, huh?
Yeah, but we'll see. And I do want to open up the, let's just say it's a temporary retirement.
Are you going to transition to become the lead singer of Queen, replacing Freddie Mercury?
Yes, that's the plan here. I'm going to start a Queen cover band in Chinatown, D.C., so yeah, I thought I would be a good fit for that.
Well, you look the part, and that's half the battle, right? So this week, we had an MLE contest. It was hot and heavy, a staple on the tour. We had the St. Elmo shrimp eating contest. So I believe it's a 10-minute contest, this one is. It's usually at the Big Ten championship game. Man, this contest has been around for a long time. I know that. How many times have you competed in it?
I've competed in it twice, and actually, I want to say, unless they changed it since I last competed, I want to say it's an 8-minute contest. I could be wrong. It's been a while, but I competed back in 2019 and in 2020. I want to say 2020, yeah.
What was your best number?
Best number for me, I want to say is 14.5 pounds.
So fucking great. 14.5 pounds of shrimp. Now, do you have to finish the sauce with that?
As much as you can.
As much as you can. Like within reason, right?
Within reason. And once again, that really depends on who's officiating the contest too. So
right. I mean, 100%. It's definitely that. Now, with that being said, I have not competed this event, but I've always heard it's super cold because you're in the Midwest and it's December. But I've heard it's actually really spicy. Like they use the spicy cocktail sauce, and some eaters have said they've struggled with that. Did you find this to be spicy, or what did you think?
See, I already have my hot take because it's not spicy at all. So whoever said that is full of it, because they even tell us before the contest, okay, guys, this isn't our full-blown version, because they actually do have their restaurant version. I believe they sell the bottles of it too at grocery stores, the St. Elmo's cocktail sauce. I don't think it's an endorsement. But that is spicy, what they serve at the restaurant. But for the contest, I know they serve us a watered-down version, and they tell us before.
It's like ketchup. Right.
Exactly. It's basically ketchup.
So we didn't have a world record yesterday, which it seems like world records have been tougher and tougher to get to. I think the last one was Webby and Donuts. But what Esper got the win yesterday, he had 16 pounds and 11 ounces of shrimp. I mean, that's just crazy numbers, man. I think the world record's 18 pounds.
Yep, and I think this does bring back a lot of nostalgia looking at the results, because I was actually there when the world record was set in 2019. I want to say Joey won with 18 pounds, some ounces, and then Jeff was right behind him with 18 pounds, some ounces. It's wild. And the crazy thing about this contest, the numbers are legitimate too. It's not like poutine where everyone's eating over 20 pounds, because let's be for real, no one's eating over 20 pounds at a contest unless it's chili. But yeah, these numbers are legitimate. They do weigh it out, and St. Elmo is as legit as it gets.
They're legit. Now, did you think this was like one of the tougher foods to eat? Because you know, we all know we post things on social media and a lot of people are like, oh, this is easy. This is easy. When I look at like shrimp cocktail, I'm like, I don't know if that falls on the easy spectrum or if that is there a technique to this? Like, I feel like this was more like going to come down, obviously, with 18 pounds is a winning number, 16 pound straight capacity. But is it pretty tough to get down, or are you just more using the sauce?
I use the sauce myself, and well, because I didn't really practice for the contest, because that would cost like $1,000 to practice with the shrimp that you use. But
$10 a pound for shrimp, 16 pounds, yeah.
it's kind of like hot dogs, where it's a good mix of both, in my opinion. It does have its capacity element, obviously, because everyone's out there eating 10 plus pounds, but there also is a slight technique element to it. It's not as technical as some other foods like wings or crawdads or anything like that, but there is a bit of technique. I know Jeff, he employs a certain technique. I know he told me before. There's a certain way he feeds it in his mouth. I mean, obviously, I can't replicate it myself, otherwise I'd have in first place. But
I mean, the guy is the technique guru. He just knows it. Like, it's always crazy. In second place, we had Joey with just 16 pounds even. So that's a good number. And then top three was Jay Webby at 15 even. So, I mean, the top three right there, I feel like those are all good numbers. I mean, I don't know. What's your take on that? Are those good numbers or?
they're very good numbers, very solid. Because I know with St. Elmo, the numbers shot up. I want to say in 2016, something like that, a little before I started competing at that event, and the numbers got really high. And then the whole arms race started to see who could hit the bigger numbers. And I think it peaked at 2019, and it's kind of gone up and down since then.
Well,
So,
I mean,
judging from recent
it's
trends,
so
though,
tough, man. Sheesh. Trying to 18 pounds of food. I mean, it's a lot of food, man.
it's a lot for sure. And then I know one thing you pointed out earlier that makes this contest really tough too is the weather. It's freaking cold out there because
I
they
grew
hold
up
it
there for
at the
17 years. I grew up in that. I grew up in those conditions for 17 years, man. I get it. Why do you think I moved to Vegas? Not just because my mom and dad are crazy and retired here, but dude, it's like in my hometown, like it was negative 20 wind chill for 17 straight days. Life starts to make sense in those extreme elements after a certain time.
100%. It doesn't help too, in that weather when you're eating cold shrimp cocktail, and then when you're obviously chasing
Yeah.
the shrimp down with like the chaser fluid, that's getting all over you too. And then part of the way through, it kind of like freezes onto your jersey.
You're just like icicles. You got like a nose chunk and like cocktail sauce. You're like, ah. So I don't know if I know you said you didn't see this, but they had an undercard event and I didn't see it or get a chance to. But I've noticed in a lot of contests, we're starting to see undercard events. What is your thoughts on these? So what I saw for the undercard this time is I think it was like who could eat. We'll just say I didn't see what it was. I think it was 2 pounds of shrimp the fastest, and it was like Matt Rabel versus someone else. And I think Matt Rabel won. He's been a veteran on MLE for a long time. But like, what's your thoughts? I'm digging these undercards. I kind of like it, right? Like a warm up, kind of like something different. What's your take?
I agree with you right there. I mean, it is nice to have a little warm up act, and it gives the sponsors, I'm sure, time to set up. I know it probably takes a lot of time to set up all that food, and it gives the eaters a little more prep time too. So I'm definitely all for it. And plus, it's a good way of getting the crowd involved for sure.
I mean, my favorite undercard event ever. The Great Cheese Chugging Championships of the Super Bowl draft games. On a boat, you have one can of cheese whiz. George Chigger dominates. That was a great event to watch. It was a fact. I wonder what the technique is for that. Like, it's so different, some of these foods, right? Like, I mean, you used to have the 2 can. I don't know. But like, so you're about the undercard events, though.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think it's a good way to get the. I think they got to get more physical, man. Like, they need to be arm wrestling while they're trying to eat the shrimp, right? They're like,
that is true. I agree because once again, I'm not trying to throw any shade at anyone, but if it's an undercard event, these guys aren't really known. So, like, to make it a little more exciting, to set the stage for the main event, I agree. They ought to totally throw in some kind of random curveball like that.
What happens if they
Or
want
they have to do it topless since it's cold.
Take the spiciest one they got, right? And they just have to chug a bottle of it. Now, you're an expert chugger. That is always the videos when people go, what is one of, name some of your favorite YouTube videos. Mine, a lot of them are yours just because you don't see the uniqueness that you brought to the game. But I laugh because you're like, oh, I have stomach pains. And I'm like, well, maybe chugging a gallon of hot sauce is what contributed to this. Or a gallon of vinegar, right? Like, we're going to take a giant big gulp and whoever finishes it first, or something like that. Or I think an undercard event, like every 5 seconds, we're going to shoot a paintball at you, right? So, like, you're incentivized to eat faster. Otherwise, you're just going to get pelted with paintballs. Like, no. So I do have
like
some.
That. It's like a cross between Jackass and MLA. I dig that.
I mean, I've told Ronnie Hartman many of times, if he ever wants to throw someone through a table, I will be that guy. I will jump up, just roll me into it. We'll be good to go.
That would be great. The suplex.
But, you were a Nathan's Famous 2 times second place person. Did you ever feel that the belt was within reach, or did you always feel like you were too far away?
It's interesting you asked that because that thought's changed over time. Because I know the first time I got second place and I hit 50 hot dogs, I was delusional enough to think that I was within reach of that mustard belt. Because, that was my third year competing at Nathan's. First year I did 38, the second year 43, and then 50. So, I thought it would be a linear progression, getting to 60, then 70. Boy, was I wrong. I was super duper wrong. And to even think that I was getting close to Joey's number because I hit 50 is ridiculous.
I just always wondered about that because, I think a lot of times, especially at that level, it's like, you set a world record in cheese curds and you were crushing it and you were second place, but it's like you said, like, do you feel like you're ever getting close? Because sometimes it's like, it always feels like even at my level, which I'm not even close to your best, your middle, your worst, like you're just continually reaching. You know what I mean? You're just like, am I this close? Is it worth it? You have your days where you're like, what am I doing? And that's why I just wondered because we've talked a lot, but I've never heard you ever say like, I was this close, right? And I just never knew if you were like, you actually believe that or not. Because some people it's like, oh, like you said, they're like, I hit 20 this year, I'm going to hit 40 next year. And I'm like, I don't think you realize what that jump actually takes. And, the people online, they say it's so easy, right? Oh, I could do that. I could do that. I don't think they understand. Like you get to that level, it's like you look at any sport and it's like even for Joey to hit 75 to 76, it's like so in those minute little tiny details. It's those, oh, he did an extra cough or he dunked for a second longer. Like that shit adds up. It's crazy. Like I told you with tamales, I could have hit a better number this year if my strategy was better. Like it's, I don't know. That's just what I always wondered.
I agree with you there. I mean, every little detail does count. And honestly, once again, going back to what I was saying earlier, I was very naive to think I was closing the gap there just because I hit 50. Because 50 is a great number, but it's nowhere near, the numbers Joey's hitting realistically. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Because if I think about it, Joey, that year when I hit 58, 72, that's 22 more hot dogs. And if you think about it, each plate of, Nathan's hot dogs, as we know, each plate has 5 hot dogs. So that's over 4 plates of a lead that he had on me. That's not even close, It's
crazy. It's crazy. You know what else is crazy, though? Calling the cops at a food challenge. It's only been done from what I've seen 3 times, and you're one of them. I need to know, at what point can you tell us the story about this day? Because now the guy's in jail because of you. The man lost his mind because of you and went to jail.
Still didn't get the money back for the pizza.
hey man, you got a big pizza. Why are you so upset?
Exactly.
No, I mean, like I said, when I posted that, so for those of you that don't know, Darron, and I don't know who your partner was, I apologize. It was what, a 32-inch pizza that was supposed to be 24 pounds. Well, he said 22 to 24 in a text message.
Correct.
And then you showed up, and what happened?
Well, he showed up, we paid the $100, and then, or no, I think I may have made the reservation beforehand. Either Mark or I paid the $100. I'm not sure. But anyways, they make the pizza, and the guy comes out, oh, it's a big one. This is the big one. It's a big mama. And they bring out this huge pizza, and Mark brought his scale, so he's like, oh, let me weigh this thing. There's no way it's only 20 pounds. And sure enough, it was 30-some pounds. And at that point, we're like, dude, this is not what we agreed upon earlier. You said this would be a 20-pound pizza. And then he started going on a spiel like, oh, you scared, oh, and getting in our face, kind of doing one of those type of things. And then at the point, I'll be honest, it was ridiculous that we called the cops. We should have never called the cops. That was ridiculous. And just to clarify, we didn't call the emergency line either. We called the non-emergency line. I think at that point we were just so furious and fed up. We're like, you know what? This guy robbed us of our money, so we're calling the cops. Honestly, like looking back on it, was stupid. We should have just taken the hit and just left.
I don't know. I think it was hilarious. Like I remember like getting on Facebook and you were like posting it, and it was just like, holy shit! Like wow, And I will say, Esper thinks that like so. Esper said that he saw a different spatula in the video, and thinks that it wasn't as big as you guys made it out to be. Is it as big?
This is definitely the biggest pizza I've ever seen. 100%. With the spatula, I would have had to guess it was like 28 pounds or something. I don't think the spatula weighed 10 pounds or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Just asking, because he was just like, he didn't think it was as big as you guys all did. I mean, at the end of the day, it was still just like, it's one of the things we go back to a lot, just all the kind of scams that go on, right? Like the other day, I did like a burrito challenge. And before they made it, they're like, oh, do you think you're going to beat it? And Brandy's like, yeah, he's going to beat it. And I'm like, will you shut the hell up? Don't tell him that I think I'm going to beat it. And she's like, why? And I'm like, because now I'm getting extra loving from the back, right? Like, oh, he thinks he's going to beat it. We're just going to keep adding a couple spoonfuls on here, right? And then it's like, if I go in there and I'm like, no, I don't think I can beat this. I just want to try it. Do you feel like you have to kind of like protect your bet sometimes in terms of like, hey, I don't think I can beat this. Otherwise, if you tell them, yeah, I think I can beat this, you tend to get a little extra food.
There's so much variance because at this point, I don't know how many food challenges I've done, and I don't really keep track of it like Randy or anything like that. But it's just so much variance. You can kind of tell. I mean, at a certain point, for me at least, I could kind of walk into a restaurant and get a feel and the vibe for like the ownership and management and how they would handle things. So, if they seem like pretty chill people and, they're just having the challenge for fun and they don't mind losing a few bucks from, me being a challenge, I don't care. I might I won't, talk myself up or anything, but I'm like, hey, I've done these videos before. So like, is it cool if I take some additional shots, whatever? But then some places like a Champs Pizza or something like that, I'm a lot more low key and I don't really say much, and I pull out the cameras last minute until I see the food.
Right. Everything. Why is this guy got a backpack? Just hanging out. So I mean, you said that you don't really like know the number of your wins. Do you think the number of your number of wins matter for like food challenges? Because a lot of people keep a record. A lot of people count them. As someone who was near the top of the eating pyramid, like what's your take on that number? Does it mean anything? Does it not? What's your thoughts?
I mean, if it means something to you, I can go for it. Because at the end of the day, they can say the same thing to me, like, why does winning a contest mean so much to you? So, I mean, me personally, it didn't really matter that much. For me, towards the beginning, I definitely enjoyed doing the food challenges, and I thought it was neat, going around collecting T-shirts and, it's nice going to a restaurant challenge, getting a positive response, not just from the staff working there, but from the other patrons, just casually dining. But for me, especially towards the end, it was more for content. It was free content for me, so that's why I like doing a lot of the food challenges. And it is a lot of fun too, especially when you get other eaters involved. It's so much more fun.
100%.
I'd much rather do a restaurant challenge than do a home challenge 100%.
100%. 100%. Now, with that being said, you do have one of my favorite videos on YouTube. And I just want to know, how bad did you feel? Like on a scale of 1 to I just don't even want to be in this state right now. The Big Fat Fatty. That video was amazing because you couldn't shoot the outro. But like that, to me, was a true food challenge. Because a lot of people eat it, they breeze through it like, hey, it's not really a challenge. That thing is so big. So for those that don't know, the Big Fat Fatty, it's what? Big Fat Sal's Deli in the California area, right? And it's like chicken strips, mozzarella sticks, Philly cheesesteak, what? Tons of French fries. What else is in there?
Let's see. There's pastrami. I want to say like 6 cheeseburger patties.
Oh, there's burgers in there too?
Sorry?
There's burgers in there too?
Yeah, there's burgers. I'm not even joking. There's like 6 hockey puck burgers in there.
No, so you get this sandwich. What is it, like 10 pounds all in? 8 pounds all in? What is it?
This is one of the ones where it's definitely 10 plus pounds. And I know eaters like to exaggerate the amount they're eating. I mean, I'm guilty myself. But that one had to have been every bit of at least 13 pounds, in my opinion.
13?
That thing was about the length of my arm. And it was loaded. I mean, like you mentioned, you got the pastrami, the cheesesteak. They had this stuff called fat sauce on there. It was a very fitting name for the sauce, but I think it was just like mayonnaise with ranch or something like that. And a whole basket of fries. Just everything on there.
Bad did you feel? Because, I mean, in the video, you couldn't even shoot the outro. Magic Mikey came in for a clutch. How bad did you feel?
To say that after the outro, I felt great. I felt fantastic after that outro because I was fighting the reversal the entire time. I'm sure you could tell. But and the funny thing, just a precursor to this, is that I actually had done this challenge solo before. I think it was the year prior when I was there in LA, and I had failed it. I had no business doing that sandwich, but I failed it, and I probably still had about like 3 pounds left, something like that. And then the second time, I was like, maybe I can do it this time. I've been training a little more. I got Jeff and Molly sitting next to me, so I'll probably be a little more inspired. And plus, I don't want to be the only guy that fails the challenge. I don't want to be that guy in the video either. So that motivated me a little more.
What a crowd to fail next to. Molly, arguably the best competitive eater, and Jeff, arguably the best competitive eater. It's like if you had to name the dream team of competitive eating, like, there's your Shaq and Kobe, Molly and Esper, right? Like that's a solid.
I was more of the Derek Fisher there.
I'm like a Phil Jackson. I'm on the bench, just like, great job, guys, great job.
No.
I also love that you're like, I had no business doing this challenge. It was 13 pounds plus, and I had about 3 pounds left. Like you ate 10 pounds of food, and you're like, oh yeah, I just wasn't even close. Like, dude, 10 pounds of food is just so crazy to think about.
But then again, it's just like going back to the whole Nathan's thing, I got second place with 50. I'm so close to getting, no, man. He still had 26 hot dogs. Like, same thing, like, I ate 10 pounds, but it's still 3 pounds. And 3 pounds could be a small food challenge. So,
and I mean, I think the thing is like, and I've had people tell me, you're so close, man. It's just a couple of bites away. And you're like, listen, these bites look like fucking mountains at the end of the challenge. Like, I'm 8.5 pounds in. Just a piece of lettuce is like lifting a deadlift of 1,000 pounds. Not that I know what that's like, but I'm just like, oh, it's just like 2 bites left. Yeah, these 2 bites are like, I have to pick who's gonna die, my mom or my dad. Like, I'm just like,
I can totally relate. I've definitely been there many times for sure.
No, so like, you started off and you were always like big on the scene. Like you came in with everyone knew who you were. You'd done a great job in food challenges. Like, where do you think you rank yourself as an eater? Because you said you weren't close to Joey, but like as you walk away now, like what's your legacy? Where do you put yourself? And I mean, I'm not talking just with current eaters, but I mean, you got the legends of like Eater X and fucking Badlands and all of those people. Like, where do you think you're up there with them? Where do you put yourself?
In terms of impact, I would say I was a low impact eater. I mean, let's be for real, they're not going to put my face up on the Coney Walk of Fame or anything like that. But in terms of ability, it's funny you mentioned that because I never really had a strict ranking system in my head. I always ranked everyone in tiers when I used to compete. So there was always the A1 mega elite tier. And so that would be like your Joey, your Jeff, and Molly. And Joey kind of led that pack, let's be honest. And then below that was the where I would put myself, kind of like the Mickey Pseudos, me. That's where I put myself. Was like in that kind of A2 B1 tier is where I would put myself in terms of competitive eating level. And once again, for legacy, I can't really say. I don't think I really left a huge mark on the competitive eating history or anything like that.
I don't know. I think you left more than you think you did. You know what I mean? I think we always undersell ourselves on terms of like what we did, but I mean, you were always a person that whenever you knew you were going to a contest, you knew you were going to place like it was in for a fight. Like it's not like anyone had a chance against you except for like the Jeffs and the Joeys and the Mickeys and like stuff like that. It was gonna be a fight. It was not like, from my perspective, being at the bottom of the table is like, oh shit, right? Like that kind of stuff. Like, dude, you were forced to be reckoned with.
What are you talking about? Bottom of the table? You're ranked number 8.
Now, and I mean, let's be honest, these rankings are so kind of subjective. You know what I mean? It's kind of in the discipline and what the food is. Like, I think we're on a good trajectory now with like going to be updating rankings more and kind of what they're going for. I love the vision. I love where we're going. But there's other eaters where it's like, certain foods. I'm not a real technique eater. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you my strategy is trash, right? We'll figure it out on the run, just like shut up and eat, like go type of eater where like Brett Healy, he's like, why didn't you do this? And, it's like he's like playing a game of Operation. And I'm like, 100%. And Brett's like surgical and doing all this. And I'm just like, oh, I just tried to shove everything in my mouth at once until I got tired. And then we tried to, it was like, someone's like, what's your hot dog strategy? I'm like, minutes 1 through 4, they're like this. Minutes 4 through 7, they're like this. Minutes 7 through 10, I'm just trying to survive by that point. And we just kind of roll the dice and go for it.
Yes, same for me. Now, Nathan's, I will be honest, I did dissect that contest, and I would dissect my own footage and whatnot and practice for that contest. But every other contest, I really had no strategy. And honestly, I think my eating abilities I just built up just from experience. And I always use.
I was just going to say, what was the highest hot dog total you ever hit, practice or on the table?
56.
Jeez.
I've only hit it once. That was in practice. And I think those were with the natural casing hot dogs. Because I remember I usually never practiced with the natural casing. I always practiced with the Costco Kirkland dogs or the Sam's Club hot dogs. They came in the huge box like this, and you could buy like a 48 pack of them. But for that occasion, I forgot who it was, but somebody told me that I should do a hot dog run with natural casing because they're like, Darren, you always practice with the wrong hot dogs. Once you get to the natural casing, you're not going to be able to eat that much. I was like, dude, it doesn't make a difference. I mean, once again, I can't really speak for everyone else because it might make the difference for other folks. But for me, it never made a difference, So just to prove a point, I'd practice with the natural casing hot dogs. I must have really wanted to drive that point home, though, because I'm cheap, as you know, and, natural casing hot dogs are not cheap.
Dude,
But
they
sorry.
are very expensive. I think it was last year when Bartley was training. I think I saw on his Instagram story, like every hot dog run was averaging him like $56
That
or
sounds
more.
about right. Because a 5-pack, I want to say, is probably about $6-7, something like that.
Dude, I mean, think about that. If you do, I mean, how many training runs as you got close? Like, so let's say Coney Island was 2 weeks away. How many training runs were you doing a week?
How many had I done total up to that point, or at that point, like how many
Like
am I doing a week?
you're like 3 weeks out, right? We'll go like the bodybuilding split. You're 4 weeks out from the contest. Good fucking morning. How many runs a week are you doing? Like 3, 4, 2? Where are we at?
Me personally, I would do 2 a week at that point, which isn't super crazy compared to some of the other folks that I've heard at least. And what I would do, I would always do a speed run. Usually for me, I would just do a run to see how fast I could eat 30 hot dogs or something like that. And then later on in the week, I would do and it would usually be on a weekend too, because I tried to approximate the contest scenario as close as possible, and I would try to have my practice run at noon just to simulate the Nathan's contest, because that always takes place at noon, as we all know.
Yeah. No, the reason why I was laughing is because like I'm practicing 30, and it's like it took me years to get to the 30 club, and you're just like, I'd speed run 30. I'm like R. Kelly. I'm fighting for my fucking life just to hit 30. Like I was doing speed runs, man. Like what the hell are you doing? No, I also wanted to know, with everything you've been through, all the contests, who did you see as like your biggest rival? Like, you had Joey, but you said you weren't that close to him. Like, who did you see that like, could you have caught Esper? Was he kind of your rival that you're like, I wanted number 2? Do you think you could have got to him and like, I know you had, contests, you and him would kind of go back and forth on some of them. Do you think you were there? Who did you kind of see as your rival and training partner? Like, maybe not training partner, that might be the wrong word, but kind of like, who did you like see as like, like I'll say like sometimes when you're training or you don't want to do it, you like think of that person. You're like, oh, they're out there training. I gotta like put in my
kind of like a Lou Ferrigno and Pumping Iron.
One more.
It's funny you asked that because that actually evolved as I progressed in my eating career. Because I remember initially my first rival. I mean, he was still my rival throughout my whole competitive eating career journey. But first guy that was my rival was Gideon OG. Because this is a little known fact, but in 2016, I actually competed in a qualifier and lost to Gideon, and I didn't make it to Nathan's because at that point I wasn't dead set on becoming a competitive eater. I was just kind of getting into food challenges. So I did my qualifier, lost to Gideon. He did 33, and I did 28. And then I was like, oh well, I guess it wasn't in the cards for me. And then I didn't, try another qualifier. But then it was my goal the year after when I tried to re-qualify, because a lot of people talked to me and like, Darren, you got to do this, man. You can't just stick to food challenges. And honestly, they were right, because I found out that contest eating and competing was truly my passion. But anyways, I remember when I decided that I was going to go back and try Nathan's again. And I was ignorant, so I was fully expecting for Gideon to show up to that same qualifier again. I'm like, I'm going to get him this time. I'm going to get him this time. I've been practicing now, man. I've been hitting high 30s in practice. I'm going to get this dude. I was naive and didn't think like he could be progressing too, but like I just assumed he would be at the same number.
I do the same thing. I'm like, oh, they're not getting any better either. Like it's just.
But then they get better. It's one of those things, you live and you learn, right?
Dude, my favorite Gideon story is when he shows up late to a qualifier, gets on stage as they're already eating, and still brings home the dub. Like, that is amazing talent. I mean, dude, I remember like when I've heard that story, I'm like, what? He just came on stage like 2-3 minutes in and just still got the win. Like, could you imagine being another eater up there and you're like, I'm going to win. He didn't show up. Like, I've got this. I've got to show. And then 3 minutes later, it's like the Royal Rumble. You just hear ding, ding, ding. Yes.
That's a great analogy.
What is Gideon's thing? Gideon's always like this, right? Like he's always like that. Gideon's just like, whoa, and then you're like, fuck, all right, I'm not going to Coney, right? Like, dude, no, that's like my favorite Gideon story, just that one. Like,
yeah,
I'm just,
I have too many to list at this point.
dude, I remember
he was my first rival. And then after that, I guess I always have my sights set on Jeff because my first Nathan's that I competed at, like the actual 4th of July Nathan's, I think I came right under him that year. Because that year, Joey came in first, Carmen second, Stoney came in third, that's right, Jeff fourth, and I came in fifth. So I had my eyes set on, actually, honestly, it wasn't just Jeff, it was definitely everyone above me that placed above me. I was like, all right, these are the guys I'm going to go after. And Carmen Sincotti, man, like I remember there was definitely a one-sided rivalry going on there. He didn't give a crap about me. I mean, understandably so, because I was never close to any of his numbers at any contest. And not just Nathan's. He always blew me out the water. He always had like a 2-plate lead on me. Man, Carmen was definitely a rival because I know that's right. It's all coming back to me now, like deja vu. My first rookie year when I really immersed myself into the MLE circuit, I remember that's when Joey competed in the what was that reality TV show? The biggest
the
race?
Amazing Race.
The Amazing Race. The biggest race. I'm getting mixed up with my 600-pound life. You know, a bunch of 600-pound people racing all across the world. But anyways,
no,
yeah, I remember he was competing in that. So at that point, it was a free-for-all for all of us. Like, oh crap, Joey's not here, so we can go on, kick butt at all these contests and get all these high placings. But then I remember every contest I went to, freaking Carmen Sincotti was there. So it was always first place Carmen Sincotti, second place Darron Eats. If Jeff was there, I was in third place. But so yeah, I guess Carmen was a rival for a while, but it was a one-sided rivalry for sure.
We don't know that. You don't know what he could have thought. I mean, he may have had his eyes on you, right? Just doesn't want you to think you're in his head, right?
No, he's a smart guy. He wasn't buying it. He wasn't buying any of it.
I think the sport definitely misses you and the antics. It's definitely changed, which, now that you're on the outside looking in, what do you think the state of, competitive eating and food challenges is right now? I mean, you got a lot of these social media stars just crushing it, building the challenges. Tons of contests are coming up that we've never seen before, like pistachios and bagels last year, and all these like prize purses becoming bigger. Like, what's your thoughts of like where we're at from when we started to where we are now? Are we in a better place, worse place? Where do you think?
I will say one thing that I do like that I'm seeing right now, because I know, when I was competing, there was more of a divide between the social media eaters and the actual competitive eaters. No offense, but it is what it is. But now that line's a little more blurred, and I like that. Because a lot of the social media eaters are legitimately. I mean, take for instance James Webb. He started out as a social media guy. And look at him, he's killing it. He's up there in that A1 tier. Honestly, he's up there. Going neck and neck against Joey and Jeff and all these guys at this contest. And I think all these social media eaters. I mean, well, not all of them, honestly, but like there's a good chunk of them that are coming out that are willing to put their reputation on the line and like go to these contests. And I respect the heck out of that. So I think it's pretty cool that you're seeing a lot more the social media guys coming out, and you see a lot more international competition too. Which case in point, Nathan's this past year. You had more of the Japanese eater, J Webb, guys from Canada, whatever it may be. So I do like the international appeal and the social media appeal for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean it keeps you on your toes because you just Notorious Bob told me one time that you just don't know. There could be a person in Sweden that's just a boss that we have no clue about. You just truthfully don't know where you rank in the world. Like that's where you're like, oh, you're number 8, but it's like we all know there's independents that could slay me, and there's it's that kind of stuff where it's like you got to have fun, you got to keep fighting. And you were saying about me and my journey, it's like why I do it has changed. And, my biggest thing right now is how do you, there's just so much kind of like eyes on this, like, how do you win? Because it's like, I get my weight thrown in my face, that I tend to fluctuate weight. Other people get thrown in their face what they might be doing wrong, right, or right, whatever they want to do in terms of they get, I don't want to say outed, but people accuse them of reversing. And then people yell at me for gaining weight. And I'm just like, well, how do you win in your eyes then? Like, what is the right way? You know what I'm saying? That's the hard part for me. And then it's like, what is a food challenge nowadays? Like, those are the questions I ask. Because it's like, if you know that you could eat a 13-pound sandwich, you and I going out and doing a 3-pound burrito, is that really a challenge, or is that just two dudes going out there and getting bigger by the day? You know what I'm saying?
2 dudes, 1 burrito.
Dude, it's one day 5 percenters, right? Like that's kind of like where my head goes. Is like, how do you, like, in all this stuff, and I think you've always phrased it best, like, you got to do what you got to do, and that's always helped me, because like it gets tough sometimes, hearing that you're fat, and it's like, well, yeah, no shit, thank you very much. What other, what's the weather like outside, right? But no, I think this has been good. I just wanted to know if you had any questions, what your thoughts were, anything like that.
Well, I know for me with competitive eating, I don't really do it anymore. And a lot of the things that I did to get to where I was, it's definitely taking its toll on my body, and it's taking a toll on my personal relationships, because I had to cut a lot of family time with local friends, whatever it may be. But do I regret any of it? No, I absolutely do not, because I put my everything into it. I like to believe I put my heart and soul into competitive eating in my esophagus, but that's one thing. People might question what we do, and like the health repercussions and whatnot. And yeah, we're totally aware of what we're doing. But you know what? If you want something bad enough, you're gonna do whatever it takes. And I'm sorry, I'm not here to please people. I'm only here to please myself, basically. And
you're very good.
Really regret.
You're very good at pleasing your. I've been told that you're very good at pleasing yourself.
Oh crap! I walked right into that one, huh? But maybe I should wrap it up on that note.
You should always wrap it up for those at home. It's always a better.
I'm just gonna.
No, you're good, man. I think it's good. I appreciate the insight, because, like I said, going back to shrimp, I was always told it was a very spicy one and things. So it's good to know it's not. And
I want to know who told you that now.
What's up?
I want to know who told you that now, because it's not spicy.
I've just seen people online talk about it. Oh, it's spicy, or they use the spicy sauce, and spice is relative. We can't all be beasts like you, and. No, I think we got a good thing going here. I think this has been a great first episode, and I think we'll, our hopes for this is to get other eaters on there. We've got a few that are willing to come on. We're not going to have standard questions. We're going to cut through some of the tape and get their real takes on things, much like Darron admitting that maybe they shouldn't have called the cops. I think you should have just taken the pizza and just thrown it in his face like WWE. Like who is it? It's Steve Aoki now. Have you seen what he does? He takes like a cake and then just throws it at someone in the crowd. You should have been like, all right, keep my $100. I'm gonna take this pizza, just boom, just right in the window or something like that. Keep the change, you filthy animal. Dude, that's just it's just wild. But no, we're planning on getting Brett the Branimal Healy on here and playing a word association game with him, as he is. I would say Brett is probably the nicest eater I've ever met. The most courteous and thoughtful eater, I would say.
Honestly, he might just be the most courteous person, period, that I've ever met.
Yeah, he's super nice. And anytime I'm like, dude, that guy pissed me off. He's like, well, he was like, all right. I won't throw anyone.
He doesn't play devil's advocate. He plays angel's advocate.
That's funny. No, man, I think to wrap this up for me, I think you saw yourself and different than a lot of us saw you from like where I was at, where it was like, dude, you crushed it, but you were always willing to talk with us. You never felt that there, I mean, I agree with you. There's different tiers, and sometimes, other tiers won't, talk with other tiers the nicest, and you were always super nice, super friendly. You never made me feel like I shouldn't be there. And it's always been fun, and it's been cool that we've gotten to do each other's weddings, and we're gonna go marry the bean curd here in another couple of months. It's just crazy how it's like all kind. He'd be a good guest for the show too. Getting that.
Yeah, I'll love him on.
We'll get him on too.
Plus, all the top guys are boring anyway, so.
Yeah, they're not gonna say anything. You know what I'm saying? Thank you all for watching this first episode. We appreciate it for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a episode of the crazy shenanigans that'll be coming your way. And we'll have some great guests. Is there anything you want to end with, Darron? Stay in school and tell your mom you love her.
If you ever ask me how do you become a competitive eater, you don't. That's my message.